Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and I have a kind of a first impressions to do for you. This is a Keanison, and it's my first custom folder, truly. I've had like mid-techs and stuff, but this is a custom. Keanison Knives is out of Texas, and I've become pretty aware of them over the past really just few months. I've had a number of buddies start getting knives from them and raving about them. I've got a buddy who now works over there sometimes and helps out at the shop, Ryan, who I've partnered with on my upcoming knife design, which is super exciting. And everybody seems to love these guys and their knives. And I had an opportunity to check one out at the expense of my Hold Haptic. I talked a lot about it in my most recent podcast that I just did. It was an episode with just me in it. And I talked about how I had made the decision to trade the haptic for this, and I'm excited because this is a big boy knife. This is a custom, and it is fancy, and it is nice, and it's my first kind of dive into that realm, I guess you could say. And yeah, so this is the Keanison Stray Flipper. That means it has the flipper tab, and at Keanison, the way that it works, this one has a black oxide finish put on the blade, by the way, which is aftermarket, not from Keanison. Somebody else did some work on this knife, among other things. This clip and these handle scales, we'll talk about that. But at Keanison, the way that they work is with each of their models, so like this being the Stray Flipper, or with the Stray Non-Flipper, or with the Alpha, or the Alpha Flipper, with all these knives, they only make 100 of them before they retire the model. They won't make any more, which is another cool thing. That like this one's number 46 of the Stray Flipper, and it's one of the 100, and there are not going to be any more of them, and they've actually already finished making these. All 100 have been made, so there's no more of these even coming. They all exist already, and that's just kind of cool. It's a different game. It makes it feel more custom that they won't do more than a certain amount of them, and yeah, I'm pumped about this. So literally on, I guess it would have been Thursday night, I sealed the deal on this trade right before, frankly, recording that most recent podcast. And then Friday, I was at Disneyland all day because it was the day Disneyland reopened, and we got to go. That was fun. But then Saturday, today, I made plans with my buddy who's local, who I traded with, to just go and trade with him in person. I needed to have this for sure. So I got back. I've had it in pocket ever since I got in the car from trading with him. I pulled it out, played with it a little bit more, put it in pocket, and I've just been fidgeting with it nonstop, playing with it a whole lot. And I have cut a piece of paper with it so far. I've cut something. I will be carrying this knife and using it. If granted, it'll probably be pretty lightly, but I will be using it in preparation for my review. This is mine. I own this knife, and yeah. So let's talk about it. The Stray Flipper basically is what I would consider, absolutely for me, a primary size knife. This blade is about 3.5, maybe even 3 3/4, probably somewhere between there, 3.6 or something inches. This one is featured in San Mai, and it's had this black oxide finish put on it. We have titanium handle scales, which have, I think he calls this, the guy who did the work, I believe his Instagram handle is like The Real Citric American or something. I'm sure some of you have heard of him. My buddy who I traded this knife from, I don't know what's the best way to say that. I traded with for this knife. He had it sent to him to do this work. So he had the black oxide finish put on the blade. He had this, I think he calls it his dirty titanium finish or something. I love it. Looks really, really cool to me. And then he polished and then orange peeled this clip, which I think looks pretty rad, and it has this cool contrast against the rest of the knife. It's got really nice hardware on it. These pivots are gorgeous, and then even this back hardware looks pretty good to me. Super simple construction on this knife. You got 2 titanium scales that are contoured, but other than that, and some little bits of milling and chamfering and stuff, they're pretty basic, right? And then you've got the pivot screw. You've got a tiny little barrel spacer back here. You've got a pocket clip, and you've got a blade. And look at that blade. I mean, it's wild. The Sanmai. So I'm not like a Damascus kind of guy, for sure. I just don't. There's no allure to me. Sanmai, I think, is cooler than Damascus. Personally, I would prefer to have this than Damascus. Even then, this finish, because it's like mirrored and then black oxided or whatever, this is so pretty. I'm going to really struggle to use this. It's just gorgeous, right? But Sanmai is cool. Basically, it's a fusion of at least two steels, but it's done in a way that isn't like patterned like Damascus, and then you've actually got the steel you want for the edge is still what's making up the edge, and it can actually have some advantages from what I understand. If you watch enough Forged in Fire, you'll hear stuff like that. But yeah, it looks really cool. And then even on the spine, you can see if you look closely that there's different layers in there. And this thing is just, it's another level for me. This is a different game that I'm playing now at this point, and I'm really excited about it. So I probably honestly should have done my first impressions video tomorrow, but I wanted to talk about this knife today because I'm so excited about it. And I couldn't really unbox it because I picked it up in person and unboxed it there, and so then it would be like a fake unboxing if I did it here. But it does come in one of these nice little hard shell cases. It's got these clasps all over it. There's foam inside, and I've got the certificate of authenticity in here too, so we can actually read what this knife was when it was factory off of here. Yeah, all right, so it's a Forged Stray Flipper, and the model, it says it's got 50/50 forged Sanmai blade. The scales were just stonewashed titanium and the pocket clip to begin with. This one's serial number 46, and it looks like it was born 10/5/19. So this knife is almost, it's coming up on 2 years old. It also came with this, I think that's a sticker on there, or is that just a cool card? No, that's just a cool card. That's rad. That's their little business card. Yeah, so it's got their info on the back there. They're very Texas, that's for sure. Oh, that's rad too. Yeah, look at that. It's got the signatures of the two guys over there at Keanison. And I've actually talked to Brian. Brian is going to be on the podcast soon, which I think will be fun. So I'm excited for that, especially now that I have one of his knives in hand. And yeah, so nice little case. I like when knives come in hard shell cases. I think that's a good touch, especially for something of this caliber. But look at it. I mean, it's just, this is crazy. This is unexplored territory for me, having a knife kind of not just expensive like this, but also kind of one-off like this. And it's had even more customization done to it. And luckily, it's all stuff that I think is cool. It's just wild. And I'm really, really happy at this moment that I have this, that it's mine to check out and play with. The action is a lot of fun. I love that it's got multiple deployment methods, so this flipper is great. And get past that detent. It's nice and smooth on closure. I can middle finger flick it pretty easily. The detent is, if anything, a little bit on the strong side for middle finger flicking, which I'd way rather have than it be soft. But yeah, it's a great middle finger flipper. And then I think, I haven't done this yet. No, I guess I did do it once. Oh, this is awkward for the camera, but oh man, let me just do it normally. Oh, maybe it's not. I feel like I'm placing my hand like an absolute weirdo, but there we go. It'll thumb flick if you know what you're doing. Let's be honest, I'm probably never gonna thumb flick this knife other than just now, because if I can middle finger flick it, that's the way it's getting opened a lot of the time. And this flipper is really pleasant. This blade stock is so thick, and so the flipper tab is really, really thick to match. And it just feels, even though there's no jimping or anything on it, it's such a great flipper tab. Got this nice, generous forward finger choil. You can see this blade picks up marks so fast because of the mirror polishing. So I will be wiping this down a lot. This might be a knife that I carry with a hank because otherwise it's going to be dirty all the time. But man, it is sweet. So there it is. Bearded Gear's first nice custom knife. And what a doozy it is. This is the real deal. Yeah, I'm excited to carry this, use it a little bit, and just see how much I bond with it. Maybe if I end up really, really loving it, then I'll just bring myself to treat it like a true user and use it hard. I doubt that, but we'll see. Time will tell. Anyways, thanks for checking it out, guys. This is the Keanison Stray Flipper, and I'll put a link down below to Keanison Knives because they're cool dudes over there. So check them out if you haven't, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.